Now, how can we take input and how can we print values in case of Python? To take input from the user, we usually use the input function. I'll give a brief example of how we can do this. Let's say I'll write a program to add three different numbers. So I'll ask the user for input. We need to write the input function, and within it we need to write the message. Let's say enter the value of A. I'll take another value. Enter the value of B. And I'll take another one as well. Enter the value of C. Once I've taken all the inputs, I'll find the sum. So I'll write sum equal to A plus B plus C. Now we need to be a bit careful here because we are using sum which has not been defined previously. So we need to write sum equal to 0. Otherwise it will give the error that name sum is not defined. After this, we can simply print the sum. Now, let's just see how it works. The input function is basically used to take input of numbers or strings or float values. So let us see how this code is going to work. Enter the value of A, I'll enter 10. Enter the value of B, I'll enter 20, and here I'll give 30. So the sum that I'm getting is 10, 20, 30. Now if we add 10, 20 and 30, we are not supposed to get 10, 20, 30. It's definitely not the right output. Now let me just tell you why. Because in case of Python, by using the input function, we will be able to take the input as a string. That means even though I'm writing a number, a digit, but Python will consider it as a string by default. Why so? Because the input method takes input of any kind of value as a string by default. And if we add strings, it will basically concatenate the values. That is why we are getting each of these side by side. Concatenate means if I write hello plus world, that will give me hello world. Let's say I write hello and then plus world. This will give me hello world. It's concatenated. This is known as concatenation. So this is what is happening here. Now if I want to add integers, I'll have to write here int. This will help to change the input from string to integer. Same thing I'll write here as well. Now if I run the code, I'll give the same inputs, and yes, this time I'm getting the right answer. So we must be very careful when we are taking the input. It depends on what kind of data type the user wants to use. If you want to work with float, you can simply write float here. That will help you to take the input in the form of float. So if we run this again and I give the same input, so this time I'm getting the output as a float number. Why? Because each of the values that was taken was in terms of float. So the output is also a floating point number. So they have given some examples like this one. Age equal to input, what is your age? It is asking for the age and the user is entering 16. In the next line, it is trying to add 1 to 16, but that is giving type error. Must be str, not int. Why is this happening? Because input function has been used here. If we would have written int here, then this would have given 17 as the answer. Here they are showing how the variable is being displayed. It's asking for what is your age, 16. So this has been taken as a string. So if you write age and press enter, next line will get 16 in quotes. Why? Because by input, as we know, by default it has been taken as a string. Also we can check the type of each, that will also give str. I've already discussed this portion, how to take input of int, float. Now this section deals with the possible error when reading numeric values. While inputting integer values using int with input, make sure that the value being entered must be int type compatible. That means if you are giving age value as 17.5, this is supposed to give error like invalid literal for int, because integer cannot be a floating point number. Similarly, here a string has been taken and the input was taken in the form of an integer. So this will also give a similar error. Here some more examples has been given about the same, so you can just go through it. In my next video, I'll be talking about output statements in Python in details.